Good morning and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We are on episode 102. We're going to be talking about sports around the world as we got some NFL and college football talk. We'll also update what we talked about before we went into the weekend with golf and the Cubs and White Sox rival. We'll finish with the NBA playoff updates and NHL playoff updates by Mr. Tim Cook and myself. So let's get it started.
Yeah. I was going to do a vertical jump there. Thank you, Sox.
Travel been to Indiana, and did Cover 2 Cook get you a good hotel?
Indiana? No, I'm in Louisiana. I'm getting Mardi Gras.
I know that this might be hard, but I don't know how much you remember Friday night since we left you damn near when you fell asleep.
I got my belly full, man. I was like, warm covers and warm. I was like, I could go to sleep right now.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jack Dorsey.
Final answer?
Yes. All right.
This is going to be a long fucking day.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on episode 102. We're going to be talking about some NFL news coming right off the bat. NFL has voted to allow players to participate in the 2028 Olympics in flag football. What do you think about this?
Who in their right mind as an owner or a GM would let any of these players play in this flag football? I would not. I would be dead against it. If they get hurt in this flag football deal and their season, their star player like a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, or somebody gets hurt and they're done for the season because of it, I would not. I would be totally against it. Totally against it if I was an owner or a GM. No, you don't play. I'm sorry. Your main priority, we pay you millions of dollars for you to be playing for our team, not for the Olympics. I'm sorry, NFL, but they're not playing. You can use somebody else, but you're not using my key players. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all, honestly, because then what do you think about the basketball playing in the Olympics? I mean, that's
right.
Like, I don't understand, I don't see your difference. I think it's been passed because it's in LA for the 2028. It's a US Olympics, so we're going to give our best stars. My problem with it is like there is a good flag football team in the US. They already have a country team that is pretty solid that would probably win no matter what. So bringing in NFL players, I can kind of see it being dysfunctional and being a little bit where some teams kind of play with us because of it. But at the same time, we have the best players. We have the best players. So
there's nobody who's going to compete with us. Who really is going to compete with us in the Olympics as far as that? There should be nobody. If we get beat by anybody, we're in big trouble. We should never get beat. We should have the best athletes. And another thing I'm pushing back, ask Paul George how that worked out for him when he played for the Olympics. And he got hurt. He never was the same after that. Never was. And he's been hurt ever since.
Yeah, but you're saying one player. I mean, these players are the ones that make the decision. It's not the teams. Right. And I think that's where they finally had the option. And let's be real. If they didn't allow the players to play, they were going to allow them to play eventually. Whether it was 2028, whatever, because that's what happened in NBA. They let college players play, and then they were like, okay, NBA, go play. And what it does, too, is allow to expand your horizon of the NFL. I understand it's flag football, but it's the game of football, right? It's the philosophy. So when these other countries come in and see this, they're going to be like, we have to get better, which is what has happened now in the Olympics when we talk about basketball. Right. These other countries have gotten really good where U.S. now has to fight to win when it used to just be blowouts.
Right. And I think I think you could send your second or third or fourth string players over these flag and they still should be able to dominate. I don't care. You don't need to have a Josh Allen in it. You don't need to have a Patrick Mahomes. Your key players. I'm sorry. I'm dead against it. I am dead against it. If I'm an owner, and I'm talking if I was an owner or a GM, I'm thinking management. I'm dead against it. I don't want my star player that I'm paying $50 million and he gets hurt. That's tough. That's tough. And
I think when you think of injuries, though, you're thinking like this could happen in practice. I mean, because it's
at least it's on their team. At least that's their team. That's if it happens in a scrimmage or whatever, so be it. You know that. But
it's
something
flag
you're
football.
not. You don't.
But it's flag football. Let's remember that again.
You can still
I totally agree.
ACL.
But that can happen in practice, and I get that that happens on the
I think
field.
a team would be fine with that. I think a team would be fine with that.
No, I don't.
If
I don't think a team.
I mean, you wouldn't be fine with it, but at least it happened at their facility. It ain't an expedition in L.A.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I just think I think when we talk about Olympics, we're talking about wanting to represent the country, and I get like what owner. There's going to be an owner out there that's Jerry Jones. You're thinking Jerry Jones, where Dallas is bigger than the United States. Right. No, it's not. No, there's no team that is more dominant, or not dominant, but like more face recognizing than the U.S. Olympics, right? And because it's happening in LA, there's way too much if they would have said no to this, because I could have seen players coming out saying, then you're going to have a problem when it comes to the regular season.
Right.
Because I wanted to play in this Olympics. And I think as a football player, you never had that opportunity. Like basketball gets to go play for gold medals. Swimming, all these other sports do. Football's never had something like this. Now that it's open, but I will say this: watch this year. A lot of them will play. I don't think they'll go play as time goes on because they'll have to go somewhere, and it just doesn't mean the same.
Right.
In other NFL news, Fred Warner and Joe Thuney get highest paid in their positions. The 49ers signed Fred Warner, and the Bears are giving an extension to Joe Thuney as well. Both players are pretty solid at their position. I think Fred Warner is the best linebacker in the NFL. I don't know if Joe Thuney's the best guard in the NFL, but the Bears are hoping that with obviously that contract. What did you think about that one?
Yeah. I mean, I see why the Bears signed Thuney. I get to more. I don't know if I would have signed him just yet. I would have liked to see another year out of him, and then maybe extend him. But this extend him for you don't even know what you're going to get out of him. I mean, this year. Yeah, he's got the credentials to back up what how good he is. But I mean, what is he gonna? I guess is he gonna fit for your program? That's another deal too. You don't know if he can fit in Ben Johnson's schemes. So I don't know. I think I would like to see another year, or at least a year under Ben Johnson, and then if you wanted to extend him for a couple of years, then extend him.
Yeah, I think this is a culture sign, just like when they went out and got him. They're saying, hey, man, your veterans are going to be taken care of. If you're a veteran, you can come to Chicago now because we're going to take care of our veterans. That's all it was. It was just a way to say, hey, we got you. We think you're that good. We're going to keep you. We want you for the long haul. I also think whether he is Joe Thuney of the Chiefs or if he's a new Joe Thuney, he's a guy that's going to be a locker room guy and that's going to help that team go as they're young and right now. I think it's a good pay. I just don't know if high is paid.
Yeah, and they need that. They need some kind of locker room assertion in that locker room, big time.
Yeah, definitely agree. All right, other news in the NFL, and I got to give a little vent real quick for this one. Brett Favre's documentary came out on Netflix. If you haven't watched it yet, it is the people that did Malice at the Palace, that did the Manti Te'o, the Flagrant Foul, things like that. Great documentaries. So for my takeaway from watching it today, Brett Favre's a douchebag. He's an asshole. He's a no good piece of shit, okay? But I think there's something to be said as a fan that you can love a player on the field and hate them off the field. He was a great player in the NFL. Awesome to watch. Gunslinger. But off the field, he was nothing but a piece of shit. I think there's other players like that. Adrian Peterson comes to my thoughts, right? I loved him as a Vikings fan. Oh my gosh, was he great. Off the field, he's a piece of shit, okay? With that also being said, it was so weird to see that the only NFL quarterback that was in this documentary was Michael Vick. Michael Vick. So, okay, wait. Are we talking about Brett Favre's character or Michael Vick's character? Because did Michael Vick serve time for what things he did off the field? Yes, he did. Do I feel that he has served the time that he was was he justified for the time? No. I love my dog. My dog is my best friend. And for the whole scandal that went down with the dog fighting, I think that's your next documentary right there. Because I loved him on the field. He was so exciting. Off the field, he is a piece of shit. So Netflix, that's a huge strike. Bringing Michael Vick on there to talk about another quarterback's character is crazy. The NFL has had so many quarterbacks, and that's who you bring out. I thought that otherwise the documentary was good. Michael Vick, weird to have him on there. Have you been able to see that yet?
I have not. In fact, I didn't even know they were doing a documentary on Brett Favre. But I mean, did they talk more about the scandal going on?
Oh, yeah.
in what's Mississippi?
Yeah.
in the Mississippi deal? Yeah, because I would like to know how he fleeced the state of Mississippi.
Yeah, no, so if you watch the documentary, they kind of talk about him in high school to college to the NFL, going to Green Bay. They never brought up the pill scandal when he was popping pills and stuff.
Right.
But they obviously talk about, and I think that's hearsay. I don't know if there's ever evidence of that. But then, because you got to be careful with Brett Favre, because he throws out lawsuits like it's crazy. And again, all of this is allegedly. I can still say he's a piece of shit without saying allegedly.
Right.
And then they kind of talk about his after career, whether that was going to the Jets, the Vikings, blah, blah, blah. And then they talk about the Jets situation. They bring the lady on with that whole situation, which was absolute creeper status. And then they go into what happened with this latest scandal and where they're at with that whole thing. I think when you talk about it, like players, there's players that you can love on the field. And I love how they perform, and that's all it is. It's entertainment. That's what sports are, okay? But what they are off the field, I can hate them. Because just because you play sports doesn't mean you're a good person. Just because you run a company doesn't mean you're a good person. Just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean you're a good person. No matter what you look like, where you're at in the status of this world, I don't care. There's pieces of shits out in this world. Brett Favre is a piece of shit. But adding Michael Vick, in my opinion, because of what how I love my dogs and things like that, is a piece of shit. So I just bring on someone else. But I wonder if no quarterback wanted to talk about it, to be 100% honest with you.
And there's your key. Did anybody else want to step up and say, yeah, I'll be the narrator of this documentary about Brett Favre? Maybe nobody in the NFL really cares for him that much, you know?
Well, and he's not even in it much. Michael Vick's not in it, but it was just like, it was a weird... It was so weird to have him be the quarterback. Everyone else is either an analyst or the woman that was a part of it or Green Bay people. But Michael Vick was like the only and the begins was him talking about what it means to be an NFL quarterback. It's like, dude, do you know what it was? Because you threw it away as much as he did.
Yeah.
I mean, like I just what frustrates me about the whole thing is like Michael Vick was so electric. So electric. He took the game and he went away when he was in his prime.
Yeah.
And he was still electric when he came back. But it was one of these things where it's like, if I was caught up in the same things that Michael Vick did, I would have went to prison longer.
Man.
He got away with it a little bit easier because of the crap that he was a part of. And I just don't agree with bringing him to talk about someone else's character when his character has always been in question.
Yep. Very true. Very true. Very true.
All right. Got that off my chest. It's a great documentary, though. Great documentary. Watch that one. They did another one with Lion King. They've done great documentaries. They should keep doing them. Just kind of vet your people a little bit better than that one.
Right.
In college football, we got some news coming out of Ohio. Ohio's General Assembly is going to prohibit state schools to play at noon. Now, why, you ask? We love our noon football, right? They want to ban it because there's not enough time to tailgate before the noon games. Now, at the same time, when we talk about Ohio, well, who do we talk about? Ohio State, right? That's the biggest state school there. They do play a lot of noon games. The past couple of years, they've played a lot of noon games. This is except Michigan and Ohio State, as they traditionally play at noon, so we can't mess with that one. But every other game, we got to move it to 3 o'clock. What'd you think about this one?
All right, Ohio's not really Ohio. Ohio, you have nothing else better to do than to do this? Come on. And noon game. I think they're one of the only teams in the Big Ten, or one of the few, that sell alcohol at the games. So not only are you going to be drinking, tailgating,
yep,
you're also going to be drinking at the game, and then probably post game as well. So I mean, how much? Most of them lots open. What, 4 or 5? I know Notre Dame's open up 4 or 5 hours before game. How much is enough? Well, I just don't. Yeah, you guys got better things. They were the same. They're just. I don't know what's going on in that state, but come on, seriously.
Well, it's obvious that Ohio solved all their crisis in the whole state because this comes right after the ban to ban flag planting at games. Right. So obviously they have nothing else to worry about except for Ohio State football in this situation. You say 4 to 5 hours. There's a good old phrase back in my college days that you can't day drink if you don't start in the morning. Okay, you can't drink all day if you don't start early in the morning. Right. I see it as an 8 a.m. I think noon games are great because you get to watch your noon game, and then you get to watch the afternoon games, and then you get to watch the evening games. Where if you have an afternoon game, you're tailgating during the noon games, or if you have a night game, you're tailgating during the afternoon games, right? So you got the perfect time, and you got usually when you're a noon game, being Ohio State, you have Fox there for the big kickoff, whatever, or college game day there, depending on your type of games. I just don't you have better things to worry about than what time you're kicking off a football? Like, this isn't even Ohio State complaining. This is Ohio people that are like, I don't get enough time to drink about my beer before I get to go watch Ohio State kick some ass. Relax. You just won a national championship. Find something else better to talk about than this, but thought it was absolutely hilarious.
Well, and there's another thing too, Anthony. If it's a really good, it's supposed to be a key game, they're going to move the start time back anyway.
Yep.
I don't. Most of their noon games, I think, early in the season are against 1A schools, FCS schools. So people ain't. Who cares about that? And I totally agree. If you have a noon game, then you've got the rest of the afternoon to do whatever you'd like. Watch the 2:30 game. Watch the night game because most of the time the night games are better games. Why? I mean, like I said, they'll move them. They'll even move them back to nighttime. So how many games are we talking about here? Of a noon game, do they get 6 home games, and so, let's say 5 now because now you're talking Ohio State, Michigan.
Yeah.
What, maybe 2 or 3? You move from noon to 2:30.
Yeah.
Come on, you're talking 2 or 3 games. Get the hell out of here.
Well, you got to think your other games are not going to be at noon because they are the Penn States, the I guess Iowa, but like your Oregon now, your UCLA, your other schools like that.
USC, right.
They don't play because they come from the West Coast, not playing at noon because of that situation. Yep. So you're already talking about like your Northwestern can't be at noon. Trust me, Ohio State, you're probably going to beat the brakes off them. I don't need to see it at 3:00.
Yeah, no doubt.
I get season tickets to Northwestern. Well, used to now that just to watch you guys play, beat the brakes off them.
Don't worry, that'll be on Big Ten Plus. Don't worry, you might even want to be on Big Ten Network. That might be on Big Ten Plus.
Yeah. You're not even hitting. Fox ain't even coming in for that because they were like, okay, we know what's happening here. In other news that has happened this weekend, golf. We brought this up on Thursday. Scotty wins again this weekend. He's chasing the goats, right? He's chasing Tiger. He's chasing Jack in this whole situation. He played a great weekend. I will say he had a little run for his money on Sunday afternoon. I was kind of turned it off because I was like, he's got this lead, and then I get a notification from ESPN. Rahm has now tied him. I'm like, okay, turn it back on. Shouldn't have done it because, let's be honest, Scotty then pulls away. But other funny news that happens out of this, Wyndham Clark apologizes for launching his driver into a sign during the final round. What do you think about that one?
Hey, everybody's done it, I think. Oh. And if it went into that sign, it's going into a creek or into the ground or whatever.
Yep.
They're breaking it in half or whatever. I seen it, and I'm like, the only bad deal is I think it didn't hit a cameraman or there was the guy was holding the yellow flag.
Yeah.
It came damn close to hitting him.
Yeah.
Now come on now. I get it. But and it's everybody's golfer's frustration. You hit a shitty tee off and the thing goes in the woods or in the water, so you're gonna throw your club. That's the only bad deal. If that would have hit that guy that's doing the flag, that could have been bad.
Well, and I laughed because I actually went golfing on Sunday, and the people we were golfing with, we were like, we should line up like they do on the PGA and just see how this works out. And I was like, I'm not getting killed today because I don't trust any of your guys' drives. Right?
No.
I think it's hilarious. I did play with a guy this weekend that was like, I'm going to go to Goodwill and buy some $3 clubs and just snap a couple. And I was like, the only way you can snap it is like Bo Jackson, just straight over your head.
Right.
I mean, it's competitiveness. This is like a part of like when I talk about people are like, he needs to apologize. It's like, okay, did you not play a sport in your life?
Right.
Like, there's times where you're frustrated when you're not playing at the level that you think you're going to. And that's Wyndham Clark to a T. Now, if you watch Full Swing, he's had problems with his anger in the past. He needs to be better about this, obviously, so nobody gets hurt.
Well, and that's another too, Anthony. I think he had to switch clubs. There was 4 or 5 of them that had to switch before this tournament because they weren't in regulation.
Yes, authorized.
And I think he was one of them that had to switch it. So there's another frustrated frustrated deal that maybe he wasn't using the club he's used to. So now if they've got a switch and you get, you're talking millions of dollars for these major tournaments.
Yeah, him and Scotty. Scotty was another one that had to too.
Yes.
Other news that happened, we talked about.
One more thing about the PGA Championship. I thought Ron was going to make a run, but Scotty is he's so cool, calm, and collective.
Yeah.
I know we said that about the Masters that he got rattled, which is not very often. But when he seen that was close going around the turn to 10, he just kicked it into another gear, and Ron just shit the bed. I mean, he was double bogey, double. I mean, I think 4 of the 5 holes in the back 9 was either a bogey or double bogey, and he dropped like a rock. And he was like 6 shots back with 3 holes to go. When I was watching, it was like, oh my God, he just like shit the bed.
Yeah, there was other guys that came up into it at like the posting or whatever after. Scotty just looks like a natural. And let's also remember that that's not who Scotty used to look like about 5 years ago. Right. Like he's worked on being like, okay, calm, collective, which is 90% of golf. It's just a mind game. And why I'm not there because I played mind games myself.
Right.
Other news that happened on Thursday that we talked about was the Cubs and White Sox going into a rival weekend, crosstown, whatever they call it. The Cubs swept the White Sox with the weekend run difference of a 26-8. Okay. Yeah, big brother just kind of taking the belt to little brother in this situation. White Sox are not playing great. They're not a great program right now. Cubs are playing good ball. Can they keep it going since this lasts for 9 more months? But yes, obviously I was like, this would have been a good weekend to go. Kind of just watch the White Sox get beat up, but not much of a games this weekend.
No, their organization's in disarray right now, and they just don't have anything right now. But I did look at the NL Central standings as of today. You see who's coming up?
Well, did you see? No, hold on, bro. Before you say some shit like that, you see the Carpenter, Wong, all these players are retiring.
They're probably going to the Hall of Fame, those two. So I mean, they're about done. Yeah, they're
Carpenter maybe. Wong crazy. That is crazy shit.
Yeah, he's going to play for 6 different teams other than the Cardinals too. So, but I did notice the standings today, and somebody's creeping up.
Are you going to watch more baseball because of it?
I doubt it.
That's what I thought. Like I said, this goes for like 9 more months.
This is not a sprint; it's a marathon. Yes.
I'll tune in like in September when I have a boring night. Right. But we got to move on to NBA playoff updates. I got to go to my Cover 2 Cook correspondent, Mr. Tim Cook. Give me some updates of the NBA.
On Friday night, the Knicks and the Boston Celtics played. That was a close game in the first quarter. And then the Knicks decided, we're done playing with you guys. Yep. It ended up to being they were up by 27 at the half, and they were by 41 in the third. Yep. This game was over. I think the Tatum injuries hurt them. They weren't hitting their threes. So, I mean, it was just a massive blowout, and they just couldn't do anything. So now the Knicks will play Indiana, and I think they play tomorrow night, Wednesday night. So, and then Denver and OKC. That one wasn't the series was at 3-2. It was game 6. The Nuggets staved off elimination. They seemed like they played a lot better, in game 6. And it was just about SGA. He was kind of hurt at that time. He got hurt in that game. But that's another deal too, which we'll get down the road. But then in game 7, another blowout. I mean, it got to the point they were up by 10 with 3:10 to go in the second quarter, and by the time it got out of the quarter, they were down 10 and they were up by like 15 and a half. Yeah. And then it ended up being a 20 to 30 point. They are just so more athletic than the Nuggets were. You could tell Jokic is hurt. Gordon is hurt. That Jamal Murray, I don't know about him. I mean, he was really good a couple years ago. He didn't look very good, and this team is young. But so they end up winning. Going to the finals against Minnesota. This I think is going to go 7 games. OKC, Minnesota. I think what the biggest deal about this series is going to be, SGA is going to need more than just him. Yep. They're going to have Jalen Williams. I love the defense of Alex Caruso. That was awesome. He was going up against Jokic in game 7, and he was on his own.
Yeah.
I wish that the Lakers would never got rid of him because he's a hell of a ball player. So, I mean, I think that one's going to be the big one. And then we've got Indiana and the Knicks, I think, which is okay. Minnesota OKC is tonight.
Yep.
Indiana and the Knicks are Wednesday night. So,
Yeah.
I think that one's going to be I think you could see a couple fights in that one.
Yeah, that was
They
gonna
don't
be a
want
rough game. I did want to ask you a question about the Boston. What did you think about Jaylen Brown's performance since Tatum went out? Now, a lot of people have talked about him not being a part of the Olympics team, and they were like, he was so much better. He was a Finals MVP last year. I thought he looked like shit those last two games. Where when Tatum is in, he looks good, but when Tatum's not there, he's not a number one. What'd you think?
Well, and you know, that's the talk is that, yeah, he's so good. What, they don't need Tatum anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe they do. But the bad deal with that team is that they're so far over the cap
Yep.
that there's going to be a lot of big decisions in this offseason with this team of what they, because you know you ain't going to get Tatum until the end of next year.
Yep.
So what are you doing? I think Horford is gone. I don't think they're going to re-sign him. Some of these other players, I mean, I can't think. Drew Holiday, he's getting like 30, 40 million. I'm like, holy cow. So they're going to have to do a little downside because I think they're at 500 or 600 million is their deal. And it's way too much. So something's going to have. Yeah, I don't know what. I mean, Jalen played good game 6 or game 5 at Boston. And then he just, but they live and die by the 3, which I know most NBA teams do. But they really do. And if they're not hitting their shot, they'll get blown out easy.
So who do you have in the finals as before these series start tonight?
Oh, my heart says the Knicks. I like Minnesota and Ant-Man. I think they've got too much. I think they've got him and Randall and Gobert against SGA, and maybe Jalen Williams is going to have to have a hell of a series. He's got to have Holmgren's got to come in and play good. Caruso's got to, like he played Sunday. I think there's just too many factors with them guys compared to with Ant-Man and Randall. I think they just got way too much. And plus they're a little bit more rested. I don't know if that's going to make any difference, but I like Minnesota and the Knicks.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I like Minnesota, but I like the Pacers. I think just they have momentum going with them. I think the Knicks are a good team, but I wonder if this last series with Boston kind of just that was their finals, was beating Boston. So I want the Pacers to make it because they're just a kind of forgotten team. They're a small market compared to New York, but I think both of them will be good. All right, we got to move on to the NHL playoff updates, the real sport where actually people fight and it's allowed. On Thursday night, Carolina finished off Washington 3-1 to win the series. Real quick, what a great season by Ovechkin. Obviously a monumental season, but also at the same time, he had a great playoffs. It is sounding like he's coming back next year. I just can't believe that. How physically demanding that sport is and how old he is. Good for him. Hopefully we get to see another great year with him. Jets beat up on the Stars to make a game 6. Did not see that coming. I thought the Stars would end that one that night. Friday night, Maple Leafs had everything kind of just break their way to win 2-0 to make a game 7. Florida. It was in Florida. How do you not get this? Now you got to go back to Toronto on a Sunday. What do you think's going to happen? On Saturday, Dallas didn't want a game 7. They did not want to go back to the Jets because the Jets were been great at home. They won 2-0 in overtime to knock out the Jets out of this series. Dallas moves on. On Sunday, Panthers, their maturity and experience just dominated Toronto. Allowed them to beat up on the Maple Leafs 6-1. It kind of reminded me of Game 5 where they just beat up on them. Toronto has to take a step forward. They're just idling all the time. Panthers now will have to take on Carolina tonight, and Edmonton takes on Dallas tomorrow night. I will say this, Carolina has played almost a great playoffs so far. But if there's one team that can match up against them, it's Florida. And I think Florida's got the experience and maturity. They spend a lot of money in recovery and rehabilitation. This will be a great series. A monumental. They played a couple years ago in the playoffs. Every game was 1 point or 1 score difference, even though it was a sweep. Edmonton versus Dallas will also be a great one because of the star plays, but I think this might kind of go pretty quickly because Dallas has not played the way that I thought they were going to play in this playoffs. Edmonton has played above what I thought they were going to. Who I have winning those series, I have Edmonton for sure. And I want to say the Panthers because I picked them to start the playoffs, but I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina steals one and goes to the finals or to the Stanley Cup. Who do you think, since you watch a little bit of hockey, who do you think wins these series?
I'm rooting for Edmonton because of Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. I want to see them. I just don't think. I think they can make it to the finals. I think they can beat Dallas. I think Dallas is beatable. I mean, they got past Winnipeg, and which I wanted to make a comment. I thought that guy that played that his dad died, passed away, and he scored the first goal.
Yeah,
I said, oh, and then they ended up losing in overtime. And then after the game, it was such a heartfelt. I was really rooting for that. So I think their offense is going to be enough. I don't think Dallas got good enough defense for Edmonton. To be the champion, you got to beat the champion.
Yep.
And I don't know if Carolina's got it. So I think it's heading that way. I'm going to root for Carolina because I've seen enough of Florida. You've been there the last 4 years in the final.
This would be the third year if they make it to the finals.
Yes, I've seen enough of you. Kind of like the Patriots. I've seen enough of you. So I'm going to root for Carolina because I think and they got good goaltending at Anderson.
Yeah.
So I mean that's going to be a key. So I'm going to probably root. So that's what I'm going to go with is Carolina and Edmonton. So
I do think the Panthers have the best goalie still in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I think Carolina has the second best goalie left in this playoffs. I think Edmonton, unfortunately, it sucks to say, because I believe they were in it last year against Florida, and they played each other. It doesn't matter if you win this series. You're not winning at all. So we'll talk about that when it gets closer. Maybe Edmonton changes my mind because they've played better than I thought throughout the series or throughout those playoffs. But the Panthers and Carolina, if there is a night that you have to sit there and watch sports, this is the series to watch. These guys will play quick. Carolina plays quick, and Panthers play fierce with physicality. So we'll see. I also want to say, if Carolina's penalty kill keeps playing the way that they have, this might be a long series for the Panthers. I can see this one going 7.
Right. And Florida likes to put the puck up against the net, put it up to the net. So I mean that's another big deal too, is that they like pushing that goalie as much as they can. Put the pressure on the defense a lot. But
Carolina does the other side where they just put pucks on net.
Right.
Whether they go in or not, they'll shoot 30 shots a night, and they'll get 1 goal. But that's okay in their mind because they're putting pucks on net. Hockey will be great. NBA will be great. So this is episode 102 as we give sports around the world. If you want to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, things like that as well. We appreciate our fans. Have a great couple days. We'll be back on Friday, and we will talk more about the playoffs as a couple of games will happen. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.